Good morning, students. In this lecture, we are going to understand the fundamental steps in digital image processing. What are the key stages in digital image processing? Let's move on. If you look at this, there are basically 10 different steps, or you can say fundamental steps of digital image processing. And instead of naming these as fundamental steps in digital image processing, we can also say this as the different areas of digital image processing. If you look at this, it starts with image acquisition, image enhancement, image restoration, color image processing, wavelets and multi-resolution processing, compression, morphological processing, segmentation, representation and description, finally object recognition. And all these key stages, or you can say the different areas or branches in digital image processing, are connected with the knowledge base, which is going to provide the information of what type of processing has to be done in a particular stage. So all informations based on the problem domain, based on what type of processing has to be done to a particular image, will be stored in this database. Okay. And here we can notice that there are two types. One is in which the inputs and outputs of a particular step is an image. So if you look into this, starting with this image acquisition, from this image acquisition till this morphological processing, the inputs and outputs to this key steps are images. Okay, so from image acquisition to morphological processing, the outputs are images. Both inputs as well as the outputs are images. And this can be grouped under low-level image processing techniques. Okay. Remaining things, that is from morphological processing till this object recognition, from morphological processing to object recognition, can be grouped under a technique in which the inputs are images, but the outputs are image attributes. It will not be images. It is going to contain certain attributes like textures or shape or boundaries of a particular image of interest. So these comes under mid-level image processing techniques. Now, if you look into this morphological processing, it is grouped under low-level technique as well as under mid-level technique. Let's move on from the first key step of digital image processing technique. The first key step is image acquisition. Whenever an image is to be processed, we first require an input image. Only if we have an image, it can be further processed. So for this image acquisition, we need certain sensors, or you can say cameras. So based on the problem domain, based on the input image that we require, the type of image acquisition devices, it may vary. For example, if we are going to capture or if we are going to enhance an X-ray image, then in such case, our image acquisition device is going to be an X-ray device. We need an X-ray device. Likewise, if we want to acquire or study about some microbial features, then in such case, the image acquisition device is going to be some microscopes. Likewise, based on the images that we are going to process, we are going to study about the different types of sensors, the different types of cameras will be used as image acquisition devices to acquire the images. And once the images are acquired, these images will be converted into its digital form with the help of a digitizer. This is what is image acquisition. The next key step in digital image processing, or next area, is nothing but image enhancement. As the name implies, this image enhancement is the process of highlighting certain features of interest in an image. That is, it is nothing but the process of digital images so that the resulting image are more suitable for display. Here in image enhancement techniques, we generally try to modify an image so that it appears more pleasing for human perception. So we can name this image enhancement as a subjective process. It is a subjective process in the sense that the human perception based on human beings, that is the human perception decides the best method from the obtained results. For example, we can say that certain people, they like more saturations in the images that is presented. That is, they need much information about the colors. So they require more highly saturated images. But whereas certain people, they are interested in images with their natural colors only. So based on human perception, the method of image enhancement will be differing. And some examples of this image enhancement techniques are like contrast and brightness can be enhanced, histogram can be equalized, or sharpening of images can be done, or sometimes even smoothing of images can be done, or noise filtering. So all these are simple examples of image enhancement. As we can look into this picture, the blurred image has been enhanced so that it is visually more pleasing to a particular human being. This is what is image enhancement. The next fundamental step in digital image processing is image restoration. It's very clear from the example that is being displayed here. And in image restoration, the images will be recovered, or we can say that it is restored from a degraded image. So it is the process of recovering or restoring the image which is degraded. And this image restoration technique, it is a objective process. That is, it is not going to depend on the human perception like image enhancement. Here it is going to be completely objective process, which means here the process is based on mathematical and probabilistic models of degradation. And here the example is deblurring of images degraded by sensors during its acquisition. Whenever an image is acquired, it may get blurred, or whenever you are capturing an image in motion, it may again get blurred. So in such cases, those degraded image which is acquired from the sensor itself can be restored, in which its degradation is partly or completely removed, and you will get a good image like this. So here even we can notice the application of this image restoration. This is a completely degraded image with some artifacts, and it has been restored, and it is more pleasing to view. This is called image restoration. The next fundamental step in digital image processing is color image processing. Color image. This is one of the most commonly used image processing technique nowadays, because we are no longer interested in grayscale images. Most probably we have advanced image capturing or image acquisition devices in which the images are captured in its own color. So here the processing of colored images is called as color image processing. These colored images usually will be acquired using full color sensors like color TV camera or color scanners, etc. And there are a number of color models used for processing the color images, like we have RGB, that is red, green, blue color models, CMY, cyan, magenta, yellow color models, and even we have hue saturation color models, that is HSI color models. So based on our application, we have to choose the appropriate color model, and we can process the colored images. The next key step in fundamental digital processing is wavelets and multi-resolution. See, these wavelets are the basics for representing images in various degrees of resolution. So wavelets are small waves of limited duration, and these are used to calculate the wavelet transforms, which provides frequency information of an image. So with the help of wavelet transform, whenever we apply wavelet transform of an image, we can split the images, that is frequencies in the images, into 4 different types like this. Here, the image has been splitted into low frequency, high frequency, HH, which is high frequency. LH and HL are called as intermediate frequency components. So all the low frequency components are splitted here. High frequency components are represented here. Okay, and this low and high, LH and HL components are represented here. So these wavelets basically are used for image compression and image recognition techniques. Because if we split this into frequency components like this, we can very well neglect or remove all these high frequency components because they are going to contribute only very less to the human perception. So even if this high features, that is high frequency features, are removed from an image, it's not going to affect the image much. But removal of this high frequency component is definitely going to reduce the number of pixels used for representing the image so that the images can occupy a very less space for storage. So basically the basic application of this wavelet is image compression and image recognition. Here the images are represented in various resolutions, degrees of resolution. The next image processing key step is image compression. And this we know, whenever the images are stored, has to be stored in a disk or a computer. The size of the image, if the size of the image is very large, so it cannot be accommodated, it cannot be stored in a particular disk. In such case, we have to reduce the size of the image by some image compression techniques. The standard image compression techniques technique are JPEG, and if it is a video, we can make use of MPEG techniques, that is Joint Photographic Experts Group or Moving Pictures Experts Group. So all these image compression techniques can be applied to an image so that it can be stored in a required space. Even sometimes whenever the images are transmitted from one place to another through by means of a communication networks, in such case, if the size of the image is very high, then definitely we cannot transmit that particular image because it requires a very large bandwidth. So even in such cases, we have to go for certain image compression techniques where we can compress or reduce the size of the image so that it can be transmitted over the network. So these are the 2 key areas where image compression is required. Whenever the first case is whenever we require images to be stored in a space, less disk space, we have to go for compression. The other application for compression is whenever the images are to be transmitted over a communication network, to reduce the bandwidth that is required, we are going for compression. And once the image is stored or the transmission of image has been completed, then we can go for reconstruction of the image by means of certain decompression techniques and bring all these images back to its original size. So decompression can be done to reconstruct the original image. We shall move on to the next fundamental step of digital image processing technique, which is termed as morphological processing. And this morphological processing, it deals with developing the tools for extracting image components. See, from the image, we are going to extract only certain components of an image. For example, we can extract only the fonts present in the image, or we can extract only the shapes present in the image, or structures or image regions. As given in this example, extracting only certain components of an image can be done in this morphological processing step. And these extracted components, these extracted components will be useful in representation and description of the shapes. And this morphological processing, it includes processes like erosion, dilation, opening, and closing. The next is called image segmentation. And this image segmentation, from the name itself, we can say that it is the process of segmenting the image, that is partitioning the image, or you can say dividing the image into certain meaningful regions. That is called image segmentation. And this is used to locate an object. Image segmentation process is used to locate an object that is present in an image. And after locating the object, we can locate the boundaries of an object, or we can extract the certain features alone present in the object. So all these can be done with the help of image segmentation. As we can see here, this is the input image. And here our object of interest is only on apples. So these apples alone is segmented here. From this entire image, only this portion is segmented, and its gray level representation is given here. After the segmentation of the object of interest or the region, then we have to find its edges. If our intention is to locate the edges or boundaries of these fruits, then it is done. Edge detection, with the help of edge detection, only the edges are segmented in this given example. So this is called image segmentation, that is partitioning or dividing the image into the meaningful regions, that is grouping of images having similar pixels. That is called image segmentation. So from now on, from this image segmentation process, we are moving on to mid-level processing, in which the outputs of images are going to be certain attributes and not the complete image. After processing, the output is going to contain only the attributes. The next is called representation and description. So once segmentation is done, the output of segmentation, it has to be represented, it has to be converted to a more suitable data so that it can be processed with the help of computers. That is called as representation. So representation is nothing but converting the data into a suitable form for the data to be processed with the help of computers. So if you look into the segmentation's output, it can be either a boundary or it can contain a complete region. These two will be the output of segmentation. So based on this boundary representation mainly focuses on external shapes, that is corners, whereas complete region representation is used and when focus is on internal properties like textures or shape of an image. So this way we can convert the output of segmentation. This representation mainly follows the output of segmentation, which can be either a boundary or which can contain the complete region itself. And these images, after being converted into a suitable form for processing it with the help of a computer, it has to be described along with its feature. So description or feature selection, it deals with extracting the attributes. And these attributes are the result in the form of quantitative informations, and they are used for differentiating one class of objects from the others. So description is nothing but differentiating or grouping the objects, grouping of similar objects, that is called as description. So after image segmentation is completed, then we have to convert the data into a form so that it can be processed with the help of computers, and whatever the features that we require can be extracted by means of this description. The next and the last key step of digital image processing is called object recognition. And this object recognition is a process in which a label is assigned to an object present in an image. That is, in this type of processing, whenever an input image is given, this object recognition techniques, it will identify the objects present in the image and it will label it. So if suppose, for example, if this is the input image, then after object recognition, it is going to identify all the objects present in the image. there is an iPhone, coffee, laptop, glasses, notebook. So these objects are identified and also it is labeled. This is an example for object recognition. That's all with this fundamental steps in digital image processing. So we started with image acquisition, in which images are acquired with the help of cameras, and then the image that is acquired has been enhanced. We can enhance it according to the human perception, which is a subjective process. And if the image is degraded during acquisition, it can be restored with the help of image restoration techniques. Color image processing is more about processing the color images that are acquired by color sensors or color TV monitors. And wavelets or multi-resolution processing is one in which we can extract or we can represent the images based on its frequency components. We can segregate images based on its frequency components and remove all the high frequency components, which is going to contribute very less to the perception of the image. That is called as wavelets and multi-resolution. That is, this wavelets helps to represent an image in various degrees of resolution. And then whenever the the storage space of an image has to be reduced, or we can say whenever the images has to be transmitted over a network with less bandwidth, in such cases we have to compress and reduce the size of the image. And in morphological processing, we are extracting the image components that are useful in representation and description of shapes. So till this morphological processing, the outputs are generally images, and from the segmentation, description and representation and object recognition, outputs of these three steps are going to be only the attributes, in which the segmentation process is one which partitions the image into meaningful regions. Representation is representing the segmented area so that it can be processed with the help of digital images, that is digital computers. And object recognition is one in which the objects present in the images are recognized and labeled. Hope you can understand this. Thank you.